The storm is here and economic chaos is taking hold. What are we seeing when we look out the window? When we look at the finances and the companies hiring and the companies firing, we're seeing more and more people being laid off. We're seeing that the labor force is becoming more and more restrictive to normal, ordinary people. The problem is you can't get a job anymore. There are jobs on the books. There are companies that are hiring, but the simple fact is they're not actually filling those positions. The participation rate, the labor participation rate is dropping and dropping fast. I don't care what the unemployment rate says. There are people dropping out of the workforce completely. They're not looking for a job anymore because they can't find one. Nobody who is out there saying that it's all sunshine and roses has any actual clue as to what's going on. We're going to walk through some of the reasons why I'm saying this. I'm not going to just throw that out there and walk away. I'm going to walk you through a whole bunch of situations we're seeing financially out there that are boding very ill of the U.S. economy. And we're also seeing these things in other countries like the UK, Australia, and others. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and we deal in facts here. We deal with figures, and let's get into those figures. So the last 3 months of last year, Hasbro lost $1.06 billion. Now, normally, I don't deal in decimal points because it's easier just to round things off. But when we're talking about billions of dollars, decimal points are astronomically large. They laid off 1,100 employees in December. And we're hearing that they're going to go to a whole nother round of layoffs. Now, Hasbro is a toy company, right? That's what they do. They make toys. People aren't spending money on toys anymore or not buying nearly as many. That really goes to show that people are tightening their pocketbooks. They're focusing in on the things that they can actually afford, like and actually need: food, utilities, rent, housing, just the bare basics. People are not out there buying electric toy cars. Electric car sales have been dropping. Ford has discontinued the F-150 Lightning. They've stopped production and stopped deliveries on them. The dealerships already have too many of them. They can't sell them. So Ford has realized that we need to stop making these things because no one's buying them. I don't know who in their right mind was like, yeah, I think people who would buy a truck would like to buy an electric truck. I don't know what they were smoking at that meeting, but, you know, at least Elon Musk is like, well, if we're going to try to get these people to buy it, we gotta add some incentive. Let's make it bulletproof. Say what you say about that, but you know, that is something that appeals to truck enthusiasts, right? Oh, well, my truck's bulletproof. I mean, that may make up for the fact that it's electric, right? Anyways. So we have companies that have just gone all full woke, and they're finding that it's not working out so well. We see so many of these companies that do not understand their consumers. They believe that everything is sunshine and roses out there, and they're surprised to find consumers who don't think it is. Consumers that are trying to make hard decisions with their finances are not the people that are going to run out there and buy super expensive toys. Hasbro is finding that out. We're seeing luxury companies, we're seeing companies that deal with entertainment are being hit and hit hard. Paramount, they decided that they're going to lay off 800 employees. Now, if you go through, I don't expect you to do this, but maybe some of you do this kind of stuff. If you actually go through the reporting meetings this quarter for fourth quarter last year, and it actually is for the whole year, companies will have like a company call, and they'll kind of explain how they did last year. They'll answer some questions from some reporters. What some will do is they'll actually go through these transcripts and they'll search for keywords. and see how many times certain words pop up to see kind of what the general feel is out there. Some words that are being used at record levels, they've never been used this high before, cost controls. Another one, operational efficiency. Both of those, of course, are keywords and codes for laying people off. They think they have too many people working for them, and they need to lay them off and try to get the people who are still there to operate more efficiently, right? Highest levels of conversation about that. Is it starting to feel like 2008 all over again? Yeah, it is. Companies are downgrading their workforces. They're laying people off. And we see that the banks are having serious issues too. And anyone who owns an office building, there was a large office building in Ohio that just sold for $9 per square foot. At that price, you almost kind of like, why don't you just buy it up and use it as a house, right? $9 per square foot. That was a FedEx building that got that purchased. We're seeing other buildings actually being torn down. There's an office building that's being torn down in Los Angeles in order to make way for I think it's 10 EV charging stations. They're tearing down a whole office building just to put in a few EV spots, EV chargers. And we won't get into that. The EV chargers and the billions and billions of dollars that the Biden administration has laid out in order to build EV chargers, and I think they've only built a handful of them. How much does an EV charger cost? Well, it depends whether it's built by the government or built by private equity. And if it's built by the government, it may cost billions of dollars per charger. Absolutely insane. We see banks are all over the place are shutting down branches. Now, they're not shutting down banks, and some people will say that. They'll, say that, banks shutting down. No, they're not shutting down. The branches are shutting down. The banks are still there. But why would these banks be shutting down all these branches? Isn't that their way of interacting with people and getting them to deposit money? Yeah. But they're shutting down these branches in order to save money. Why is everybody in cost-saving mode if everything's great? That's a simple question. If everything's great, why is everybody tightening up their purchases? Not just individuals, not just families. Consumers are definitely doing that, but then we're seeing that all these other companies are doing the same thing. Well, Steve, banks and blah, blah, blah. Talk about something that's a little closer to home. Okay, well, let's talk about Walmart's. Walmart, over the past year, has shut down 23 stores. They have 102 less stores than they did last year. Now, they sold a bunch of those off. They sold 79 stores off, but they shut down 23 stores, 8 of which were all in one state. And if you're like, California? No, in Illinois, which is not what you'd expect. But they can't do business in Chicago anymore. They can't do business around Chicago. They're shutting down those stores because of rampant thefts and the lack of rule of law in that state. Walmart's just done with it. But the fact that Walmart is shutting down stores should, if they have to tighten their purse, if they have to cut back on what they're spending, that should be a bit of a warning. When people have money, they like to shop at not Walmart. But when times get tough, they have a tendency to go back to Walmart. They go back to the Dollar Tree. When they need to save money, that's where they go and shop. So that's why dollar stores and nickel and dime stores have historically done well in economic downturns. They actually do quite well. Dollar Tree actually made out like a bandit back in 2008. So when we see discount grocers, discount stores like Walmart really struggling, that tells us either A, the economy is going really, really well, or it's going so poorly that even they are feeling it. And I'm going to tell you, it's number 2. The fact that people can't even afford stuff at Walmart should tell you how bad the American economy is, how bad the American consumer is off. Even Google is laying off people right now. Now, they had their disastrous Gemini launch where all their woke nonsense came out in AI form. Kind of scary, but we got that. We got home foreclosures. Foreclosures on homes, 38,000 last month. That's up 10% as compared to the previous month. Home foreclosures are doing this. People can't afford their homes. And so they're walking out on them, walking out on their loans. They're realizing slowly but surely that they're upside down on their loans. They owe more money on their house than their house is worth. House prices are starting to come down. Does it sound like 2008? It sure sounds like an echo of 2008. It sounds like a repeat, or at least like it's rhyming. All we're waiting for now is the stock market crash. All we're waiting for is some bank to come in and say, yeah, we said we had this much money, but we really actually don't have any money at all. For one bank to look at the other bank and say, you owe us a whole bunch of money, let's have you pay up. And that other bank to say, well, we don't actually have your money. Sorry. And banks will start defaulting. This is what happened in 2008. We had a cascading failures of banks. They need to up their collateral on a bunch of these loans that they had because they had to start marking these loans as actually as defunct as they were. They kept pretending like the mortgage, the subprime mortgages that they had were really valuable, but they started to realize that these things are toxic assets. They don't have any money in them. And as they started to realize that, they started having to up their cash and they just didn't have enough. As things imploded out there, the federal government had to come in and bail them out. And we're in a similar situation here again today, is that the U.S. economy is imploding and the banks are pretending like everything's fine. You know that things aren't fine. You do have friends and family members who are experiencing things not being fine, or perhaps you are yourself. And we know, because we have to live in this country, that we have serious problems. Tucker Carlson went over to Russia and was looking at some of the infrastructure over there and asking, why can't we have nice things in America? Well, because every time we build nice things in America, other people come along and ruin them, and the police don't do anything about it. We can't have nice things in America because we don't have any money in America. When I went to Boston, I was walking around downtown Boston, kind of like watching as I was walking out of the core, I watched the buildings get shorter and shorter and shorter. And then I suddenly saw this building that went even taller than some of the highest buildings in the downtown area. I'm like, as you go away from downtown, the buildings get shorter and shorter, right? Why would this building suddenly get so much taller? And it was so very nice. It was like ridiculously nice. Then I reserved that. Then I discovered that was the Federal Reserve building in Boston. It was like they could print all the money that they wanted in the world, and so they built this absolutely insane, crazy building. They have like a 3-story Federal Reserve seal on the inside of the building. It was absolutely insane. The Federal Reserve doesn't have to deal with the real world. The federal government employees and government employees don't have to deal with the real world like you and I do. Out here in real world, people are losing their jobs. I know federal government agencies never lose their jobs, no matter how incompetent they are, no matter how criminal they are. But yet out here in real world, people who haven't done anything wrong, who have done their jobs well, are losing their jobs and they can't find new jobs. Things are going downhill fast. All right, friends, some of you guys noticed that the Texas flag disappeared for a few videos. That was just because I always take that down for the Bible study videos on my other channel, and because I don't think it's appropriate to have that on the Bible channel. There shouldn't be any flags when it comes to Bible studies. So it goes up and it goes down, and I forgot to put it back up. All right, friends, I will see you guys again later. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report.